This is a post-chat report for 14 November 2015. So yesterday there was again a 2-hour chat, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, at the link at appear.in/bigboard. And that happens every Saturday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was talking about my recent frustrations with the rule set for ALB. Still, there's nothing else like it, nothing else at that scale, scope, and historical topic, Spanish Civil War at the platoon scale. That led to a discussion about basically fans stepping in to complete the development of games that they really like. Another way of looking at it is the hobbyist fixing problems that the companies and developers do not or will not. Good example, great example of this is Panzer Grenadier. What was done with the Panzer Grenadier headquarters website, the annotated 3rd edition rules. So a good example there. We talked about competitive games versus historical teaching games. Again, these just being very, very broad design themes, design focuses. Not that these are hard categories, but basically players valuing balance over historical lessons, or players valuing historical lessons over balance. Do players want an intense intellectual competitive experience that involves, tactics and strategy very broadly and loosely defined? Or do gamers want to know why armies were able to do what they were able to do, or not able to do what they weren't able to do? We also talked about basically revivals of some older systems. I'm actually surprised that this doesn't happen more, frankly, but it does happen. And so just to note, Devil's Cauldron and Where Eagles Dare, as I understand it, being a complete update and redesign of the basic game system laid out by Victory Games Panzer Command. And I've heard, EW related his experience of being so blown away with the design behind Panzer Command and then being puzzled that nothing more was done with it back then. But I think of, in our discussion of, revivals of older systems, I think of different games that really deserve to be completely, rebooted, reimagined, and I think that the hobby can benefit from that. I don't think that not talking about recycling designs, not talking about recycling work here, but talking about taking some really solid design, solid designs from the past and refolding them back into the hobby. Talked about man-to-man scale games, since I'm looking at my first man individual soldier scale game, Iron Cross. So I was reminded by our discussion, I was reminded of some great older titles that I probably should actually look at, like Soldiers and some others, the older games. But I wonder why there aren't more newer designs that really focus on the individual scale, not where the individual is represented as just another unit on a hex map. And that, of course, in my mind, cycled back to the idea of actually after once I get to play Iron Cross, I'm wondering whether Iron Cross doesn't deserve to be completely redone and brought up to current standards. We talked about getting historical understanding out of games. This kind of related back to this, playing war games for historical lessons. But that got us into a discussion again about what EW called it design for process versus design for effect. I still call it design for cause. It's a slightly awkward term, but design for cause, in my mind, clearly delineates the thrust of that design focus. And talked about some games that I don't have and haven't even looked at closely at all. An old game titled Platoon, and a Napoleonic series of games, the title of which I won't even try to pronounce, not from my notes anyways. Yep, and talked about some other things, talked a little bit about TCS, a little bit about Guns, Dice, and Butter. Lots of good discussion. RW and I were talking about some older games again. He was telling me a bit about his Panzer Blitz, the original. I was telling him about going through these rules, the Panzer Blitz 2 rules. I played my first scenario of from Hill of Death, and I now am, let's see, I am a couple turns into my first scenario from Panzer Blitz Current 10. Enjoying it, enjoying the playing, enjoying the recording, and always enjoying these weekly chats. So every Saturday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link is https://appear.in/big board, one word, big board.